Hey YouTube, this is MindTech. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the controversy surrounding the Windows 11 compatibility and the big requirements that Microsoft has introduced for this new update. A lot of people are saying that the TPM, or the Trusted Platform Module, is the chip that is required for Windows 11 to be installed. But today I'm going to demonstrate that that is false. It's more than likely not compatible with your computer. Very unfortunate, and hopefully Microsoft will fix it, so that's why I'm talking about it today. So if we look at the hardware requirements for Windows 11, this requires a 1 GHz processor with 2 or more cores on a compatible 64-bit processor, 4 GB of RAM, 64 GB of storage. The only thing that people have been talking about though is that you must have the Trusted Platform Module version 2.0. This is basically a chip that stores encryption keys, and it allows Windows to better protect you against malware such as ransomware or rootkits that can sideload themselves into the operating system while you're booting. So I believe that it's a good move actually for Microsoft to require the Trusted Platform Module, even if it's going to eliminate some computers from compatibility. So I'm going to be showing you two computers today. The first one is my HP laptop, which is about 4 years old. It's running a 7th generation Intel Core i7 mobile processor with 8 GB of RAM and a 128 GB drive. So on this laptop, if I run a quick program called TPM.msc, it will show you the specifications that you have for your Trusted Platform Module. You might not have one, or it might be version 1.2. If those are the cases, then Windows 11 will not be compatible by nature. But as you can see here, the specification version for my TPM is version 2.0. If I also go into my device manager and go to security devices, there is a Trusted Platform Module 2.0, and Windows reports that the device is working properly. So finally, if I go to my Windows Security Center and then go to device security here, as you can see at the bottom, it says that your device meets the requirements for enhanced hardware security. If I go into my security processor details, it also reports that it is 2.0. Not only does it have the TPM, but it also has other hardware and software features that allow Windows to protect you against certain types of malware. So everything here should be compatible. But if I go to the PC health check, this is the compatibility checker for Windows 11 that you can pick up on the Microsoft website, that has in fact been updated since the announcement of Windows 11. This PC cannot run Windows 11, and it says specifically here that the processor isn't supported, and that might be peculiar. Again, like I said, I have a 7th generation Core i7 chip running at 2.7 GHz with 2 cores and 4 threads. So this should by far exceed the minimum requirements. And now if I move over to my desktop, I have a Ryzen 7 1800X. That's an 8-core processor, 16 threads, running at 3.6 GHz on an X370 platform with the latest up-to-date BIOS, and I have 32 GB of installed RAM, and I have over 30 GB free on my C drive. The catch here, though, if I look at the system compatibility checker, is that it says that my computer does not support secure boot. I have secure boot enabled in the BIOS, so this must be some problem that you might have with some AMD systems. Maybe this program has some problems, or maybe Windows is having some other issues that I don't know about. I'm not completely sure. If I also go to my device manager and go to my security devices section here, as you can see, I also have a Trusted Platform Module installed. And this is really the only requirement that Microsoft listed for Windows 11. By October 2025, if Microsoft decides to decapitate Windows 10, that means I will not get any more updates, and I'll have to update my computer, which I did not plan on doing in a very long time, because obviously this is a very powerful workstation. So you might be saying, well, MindTech, this must just be a bug, right? Again, you're wrong. As you might have noticed here, it said that there is a compatible 64-bit processor list. This is where it makes me incredibly angry. Right now it has some Athlons and some Epics listed, but let's just say we look at the Ryzen generation. The minimum Ryzen processor supported is a 3250C. The minimum Ryzen 7 processor supported is the 3700C, including the 2700X, but not the 1800X. You know, I'd be really angry if I bought a first generation Threadripper and that was its, oh wait, it isn't supported. Alright, you might be saying, well, hey, I'm in the Intel camp. That doesn't really apply to me. Let's look at the Intel camp here for a second. The minimum core supported is an Intel Core i3-8100. Not a 71, not a 60, not a 50. This does not include anything below the 8th generation Core i processors. And that means any gaming computer that has a 7700K or below is obsolete. It doesn't matter the speed of the processor. It doesn't even matter the technology that it supports. All that matters is the generation of processor that you have, which is something that is limiting a lot of consumers. There's no new technology that's being introduced into Windows 11 that would require these newer processors. But for some odd reason, they're taking away most computers that are more than 4 years old, and they're making them obsolete by 2025. This is a terrible move, in my opinion, and this is something that I believe is going to not only bite them in the butt, but really make a lot of people consider whether or not they want to use Windows. And just as a quick editor's note, with the release of the first Windows 11 official Insider build, they have made some modifications to their minimum system requirements, which have all been outlined in a Windows Insider blog post that was just made on June the 28th. The big thing that they talked about here was the reasons why they decided to increase the minimum system requirements, saying that they're trying to fit a new Windows driver model, so that's why they axed out a lot of the older generation CPUs. They also went on to talk about how the TPM has reduced malware by up to 60%, and by doing this, they're trying to make Windows 11 both a more reliable system and a more secure system. The big thing is that they have temporarily removed the PC Health Check app. People did not really understand exactly what they needed to upgrade in their computer. The big thing is that this Insider build today will be compatible, despite whether or not your computer has a TPM 2.0 chip, and despite whether or not your computer meets the CPU requirements. All it's looking for is whether or not you have 4 GB of RAM, 64-bit processor, and up to 2 cores. And so you're going to see people just like me installing Windows 11 on the laptop, which is not compatible with Windows 11, and that is by design. But do keep in mind that as of now, the system requirements that I have discussed are still the most recent. Microsoft hasn't made any changes to those. They've just brought in the horizons to see who can self-test Windows 11. The big thing that gives me hope is that they said in the last paragraph that they will inform us of any adjustments they make to the minimum system requirements in the future, and they're going to be looking for feedback. So what I'm hoping is that Microsoft, they'll be able to lower the big requirements and expand out to more generations of CPUs in the future. And the final thing that I've seen on Twitter is that, well, the beta build of Windows 11 was able to install, so that means the actual Windows 11 is going to install. If I get to this flash drive, which has a disk image of the Windows 11 installer on it, and on setup exe, it's checking my PC to see if it's compatible here. It passed. It's getting things ready. It's giving me the user license agreement. It said it was not compatible, and yet it is compatible. So what I'm really postulating is that the build that leaked on the internet of Windows 11, that's merely Windows 10 Sun Valley. There's hardly any changes except for the references to Windows 11 in that. So anything that they're going to be releasing this holiday season is not going to be anything near what was leaked out. Now I just want to show you one more thing to dispel the whole argument. If I boot directly into the USB flash drive, and if I go ahead and proceed with the Windows setup program here, if the software was not compatible, it would be stopping me and saying, you need a TPM chip, or you need this, you need secure boot, you need that. But no, it is not stopping me, allowing me to do a custom install, partition my drive, so on and so forth. So that shows you right now that either there's a problem with the checker, or they're just dropping support for computers that are more than 4 years old. That proves to you also that it is not the TPM. You can enable the TPM and have the issue of where it still says it's not compatible, and that's 100% intentional. There is one thing though that I do have to mention, and that is a tweet that I saw from a Microsoft developer who was announcing that they had recently changed the program for the compatibility checker. One person in the comments said, I have a 6800K, it's still saying that it's not compatible. And he replied, that should actually be compatible. Let me talk to my team about that. Either there's some confusion in the company to what processors they're actually going to be supporting, or perhaps this processor requirement list is not what they actually meant to send out, and they actually do intend to support below the 8th generation Core series and below the 3rd generation Ryzen series. I'm hopeful for that, and I'm really hoping that that developer can talk to people up in Microsoft and get this changed, because I think that it is a total shame that Microsoft is not going to be supporting these older computers. Now, I am aware that you might be able to hack the ISO in some way, or possibly install the operating system using DISM to go around this requirement of having to have a more modern processor. But first of all, I don't condone using any hacked ISO images. I really don't want to have to mess around too much with the install when I'm getting my computer set up. And second of all, you have to keep in mind that most people upgrading to Windows 11 aren't going to be that technically savvy, and they're not going to know how to use DISM. And plus, you might have troubles with driver support or so on and so forth on older platforms if Windows 11 by default does not support them. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope that I showed you that Windows 11 is going to be really difficult to be compatible with your computer, and you might either have to get an upgrade, or I don't know, maybe we're going to have to petition to Microsoft before they ship it out. So again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye bye.